Marissa Hukin here with Red Liberty Media at Young Women's Leadership Summit in Dallas, Texas. And today we have a special guest here, Kellyanna, who is actually 14 years old and a very outspoken conservative. And she has an amazing story. She's from Seattle, Washington, and has had quite a whirlwind of the last, I guess, couple of years. So would you tell us a little bit about your story and kind of what's been going on in your hometown and in life and what brought you here?
Yes, absolutely. So I got involved in politics in the summer of 2020. In Seattle, we had Chop Chaz. For those of you who don't know, Chop Chaz's main goal was defunding the police. And the way that people were treating the police in Seattle was absolutely devastating to see. And growing up, I was never really taught about politics necessarily. I was just always taught to respect people who serve to make our lives and our community safer. So when I saw Chop Chaz, it wasn't a political thing to me. It was just morally wrong. Yeah. So then I read Tomi Lahren's book, Never Play Dead, and I realized that, wait, this is a political thing. So that's really when I got my start in politics, and ever since then I've been giving speeches, I've been on several news programs, really have grown my Instagram platform. I've started my own interview segment, A Few Words, and I actually got the chance to interview Tomi Lahren at last year's Young Women's Leadership Summit.
Wow.
And about a few months ago, I got kicked out of school for 2 months for not complying to the Liberals' outrageous mask mandates. I got kicked off of my ASB, lost my social life, and I got kicked off of my cheer team for not testing for COVID, even if you feel no symptoms 3 times a week.
Wow, that is wild, and honestly so admirable that you're going through this at such a young age, but have also really just understood like what you believe in terms of your values, and to recognize that what's going on and what you were dealing with was not right.
Thank you.
So that's amazing. So getting kicked off of all these things. So how was that time for you? Did you lose friends during that, and what kind of was going through your head? And did you ever think at some point like maybe you would just go through with it, or what led you to that decision to not comply?
I absolutely was not just going to go through with it.
Yeah.
And especially, I'm that type of person where if somebody tells me to do something, I'm obviously not going to want to do it even more. And the way that my teachers were treating me prior to this was just the icing on top of the cake. I was on my cheer team when I was still allowed to be on it. We were going in a stunt, and I'm not allowed to say the words because this person was cussing me out in front of the whole school, but basically they called me racist in front of the whole school, and there was several teachers and administrators and parents and students that didn't do anything. And then right after that, I was like, okay, well, there's no way I'm just going to agree with what the school is telling me to do now. There's no way. So that was really just the icing on top of the cake, as I said before. And really, during that time, I lost so many friends. Some family members stopped speaking to me. It was definitely difficult. But then I just remembered that what I'm doing it for a reason. Sometimes I think the most important thing is to realize that you have to have the courage to be disliked. And that was definitely a big lesson I had to teach myself in those 2 months.
Yeah, that is so true, and especially, I mean, not only just being so young and having these conservative values, which obviously isn't popular, but for the conservative movement in general, it definitely requires that courage. So it's amazing that you're learning that so early on. And now in this school, obviously they were going along with these things and enforcing them. So was there anything else in terms of like the curriculum that they were teaching, maybe critical race theory? Can you tell us about anything outrageous with that as well?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked, because you know it's Pride Month here. Okay, basically our school has kids decked out in pride flags. We have this sign downstairs, how to be a trans ally. Don't ask them their real name. Don't do this, don't do that. Why are we learning to be a trans ally? We're literally, 11 to 14-year-olds. And it's so sad that our schools are focused more on pushing this liberal woke agenda than actually concerned about raising students' grades and helping with our curriculum. It's really sad to see. Black Lives Matter, literally Black History Month is over, but we still have the signs up, the posters, encouraging people to support Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ and anything woke they can. We also had this video teaching why white people are racist, and we have to check our privilege and realize absolutely not. Why would we do that? We should be proud of who we are. We should be proud Americans. Literally, the schools are teaching critical race theory, and I think it's time that conservatives stop saying CRT and really tell it for what it is. It's racism. We need to stop teaching racism in our schools.
Yes, totally with you. And it's really interesting to hear this because, I mean, it's so different from when I was in school, and I went through the public school system and wasn't always easy even then, but now to hear this, it's just like, it really breaks my heart for students, especially when you are curious and have a love for learning and you want to, you know, enjoy that experience and you can't. Have you ever considered maybe going to different school, being homeschooled, or what's your reason for staying in public school and really enduring this right now?
I've definitely thought about it, obviously. Homeschooling, that is really not for me. I'm a very social person.
Yeah.
I like being around people, but more importantly, we can't just give up the fight, as we were talking about before the interview. Just because something is bad doesn't mean we can leave it, because if all of the conservatives stop leaving Washington and start leaving all of these crazy states, then it's just going to get even worse. We need to start implementing our values and start fighting for what's right, going to school board meetings, getting involved. We can't just let the left win.
Yes, totally. And as I mentioned before, I'm from New York, so I appreciate it when people realize that you need to stick it out and do your best. And of course, you could flock to the red states, but we still have to have this fight. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm so encouraged just knowing that someone so young just understands the values and things that we're fighting for. And so for that reason, the future looks a bit brighter. But thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you around.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I really appreciate it.